read, you know. Like,
But
you know what grinds my what?
Speaking
Dave?
of which,
I like to go back and forth with fans on Twitter. I like to think of myself as being very accessible. Please
and
tweet.
an antagonist.
Sure.
Yeah.
Please tweet me, blah, 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 whatever. Here's the thing, though. Sky, today, oh, God. Somebody asked me today what my expectations were for Chidobe Awuzie, and I said I thought he's going to look a lot like Byron Jones did in 2015 when he was kind of the handyman. I've said that a dozen times on this show. And somebody says, oh, so you mean he's going to have little to no impact on the season? And that really pissed me off. And honestly, I think it ties in well with the conversation we were having about Taco Charlton a minute ago, because basically I think people's expectations of draft picks are, like, way out of whack. And, like, that's just a general statement about the NFL, honestly. Byron Jones he was a de facto starter. He was a nickel back. He was a dime back. He played a little bit of safety. He moved to corner late in the season when they needed him to. Wasn't very good at it, but he did it. He was on the field all the time as a rookie. And his big thing that I remember him doing was every time they played a good tight end, they were like, Byron, that's your guy. Go get him. And with the exception of Rob Gronkowski, he did a fantastic job, which, with the exception of the best tight end in football, he did a great job.
There's no shame in that.
Yeah, fine. He did a great job doing it. He was a vital member of the defense on a bad football team. And I think it's ridiculous to say that he didn't have an impact on that season. Obviously, the season sucked, but he was good. And if Chidobe Awuzie can do that for this team, especially if this team lives up to its expectations and is a playoff contender, he'll be just fine, especially considering he's picked 60th overall. If he doesn't get a single interception, but he's as useful as Byron Jones was in 2015, that is a fantastic start. And in the same way, if Taco Charlton is a rotational defensive end and gets occasional pressures on the quarterback and has 20 to 40 tackles and a handful of sacks, that's a great freaking start too, because he was picked 28th. We were talking about this in the first segment. Yes, he's a first-round draft pick, but not really. Because if you understand the way the draft works at all, you know that there's usually about 15 to 18 first-round draft prospects in a given year. Mm-hmm. So if you're taking 28th, you're basically a second-round project, which he was. They had a second-round grade on him, but 4 picks away from the end of the first round, they decided he's our best bet, and we feel good about what he can develop into. He's not a superstar, can't-miss Myles Garrett draft prospect. Right. That's not what he is.
If he would have been drafted there.
Of course. And if you're expecting that, this sounds mean, but I think you're dumb. I'm sorry.
Nice. 60 seconds. You need to put a time.
That is thrash metal right there. Good God.
It fits for the rant, though.
It does.
I just.
What he should have been playing was like a John Elway going, hut, 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 hut. Because that guy definitely drew you off sides.
It's very similar to my rant about injuries and people dogging guys for getting hurt. Why are you holding these? You hate this guy because of something that's not his fault. You hate Taco because the pass rush sucked last year and the Cowboys didn't win the Super Bowl. That's not his fault. So let it go. And obviously it's great for the Cowboys, but unfortunately for everybody that comes after him, Ezekiel Elliott and Dak Prescott are doing them no favors, because you see what can happen when you do draft at the top of the first round. You throw a superstar running back behind an offensive lineman out of all pros, and you can see some really crazy immediate results. And then Dak is, I'm not even going to waste time on that, because that is seriously like a once-in-a-lifetime type of event.
That's a lottery ticket.
And it's more than that, because Malik did well and Anthony Brown did well. It's like, wow, they're drafting so well, which I think is kind of weird. Why don't we just let these guys develop?
Yeah.
Anthony Brown, Malik Collins, they weren't setting the world on fire this time last year.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys. You guys probably remember back to that. Last year, were you talking much about Malik Collins or Anthony Brown?
He got hurt.
Oh,
broke
right.
his foot, so he didn't really start doing anything until maybe later in camp.
I don't remember really being excited about Malik until week 2 when he was kicking ass against the Redskins, enough to the point where they were like, all right, we got to get him on the field. Tyrone, get out to end. And Anthony Brown picked off Tony Romo on the first day of training camp last year. I do remember that. But
did it continue? Was it consistent enough to where you were thinking Anthony Brown's going to be a pretty good player?
He certainly wasn't lighting the world on fire. And even, again, last year's draft contradicts everything I just said. But how many drafts do you see like that in a given year? It's
how many do you
uncanny.
see like in a 10-year history of a team? How many do you see like that? Right.
Case in point, I'll say Tyron Smith. I think he's the best left tackle in football right now. Joe Thomas, you can make an argument, but I think he's the best. And if he's only at 80% because of his back, he's still probably the best or one of the best. He wasn't that great. When he started, he wasn't great enough to be the left tackle as a rookie. They had to play him at right tackle. DeMarcus beat him like a drum for the first 3 years of his career.
Yeah.
And he wasn't good enough. I mean, Doug Free played left tackle at the start of his career because they didn't trust him to do the job. It's fine for a first-round draft pick to take some time. And it's fine for a second-round draft pick to take some time. It's all going to be okay. And if it's not okay, they'll draft somebody else to do it later. But it's way too early to dog on these guys for what they're doing right now. And it aggravates me when people do.
Hell yeah, Helman. That was a good one. That was a really good one.
Thanks.
Good job.
Very passionate.
I try. The funny part, like, I was a huge Slipknot fan when I was like an angsty preteen. So that's
Is that who that was?
No, that wasn't Slipknot, but it just reminded me of Slipknot.
Okay.
Slipknot.
I kind of like Def Leppard when I was a kid.
Def Leppard is not heavy metal.
No.